Okay, so hello. Hey, Paula, Natty.
Okay, so hello.
Pin message. Let me figure out how to turn off the sound here. All this technology. We got like an echo.
All this
Where's the
technology.
echo?
We got like an echo. Where's the echo? We got like an echo. Where's the echo? We got like an echo.
Okay, so the echo is gone. How is everybody today? Hey, JFCT, JT, J. Can't see in the sun here. So I'm going to just turn this sideways here, and we're going to look out over the water. No, let's turn it the other way. Let's turn it this way. Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to type show link to drop link. Type show link to drop link. That's good. Let's pin this. Hey, Rims. Caesar. Paula. Looking for a good angle here that is interesting. Maybe let's just turn this sideways here without invading too many people's privacy. There we are. Let's try that. So that's sort of looking out over the water. Let's raise this a little bit. There we are. Yeah, so welcome aboard, Billy Bob. Billy Bob. Yeah, nice fish. Nice fish. Oh, we got a goose swimming off the back of the boat here. I don't know if I don't have any food for them, so we won't try to feed them. Yes, liking would be nice. Well, I've been working on the boat a bit, got the sail up. Problem is always remembering how you got it down. And you always say to yourself, I should do things differently next time. But by the time next time comes around, you forget what it is you're supposed to do differently. So instead of rolling the sail from bottom to top, I should roll it from top to bottom so that the bottom is accessible when you're trying to put it back on the boom. So those are the things that even after, I don't know how many years I've been sailing, 40 years, 50 years, that you still don't remember unless somebody tells you that. But it's been a beautiful day here today. Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a bit rainy. Today there's big forest fires in northern Canada, in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, northern Ontario, and we're getting some of the smoke blowing down here that yesterday I thought was allergies, but talking to other people that are sneezing their faces off, it's the smoke from the forest fires coming down. So it's not a good thing. So the mainsail's up. Hey, Valentin, welcome aboard. So the mainsail's up. It, hey, New, where are we sailing? Well, we're tied to the dock and we're not going anywhere. We only put one sail up. And I was saying, if I remember from one year to the next how I should do things differently, then it would have been a lot easier to put up. But it's there. I think I had a video of the sail being taken down at the end of the year. So now it's just the reverse of that. I'm just going to walk away from the computer for a second here. I try not to kick the camera. Oh, I kicked the camera. Let's move the camera. That will solve the problem. I'm saying that the smoke was making me feel like allergies, and suddenly I've got allergies. Hopefully this microphone won't make this sound too gross. Well, let's get back outside and see what we're doing here. A lot of Canada geese in the water today. Having a good time looking for food. I think you can probably see some behind the back of the boat. There's a bunch of them there. No, we can't really see them. Let's turn the camera around and we'll see a bunch of geese looking for food. Can we see them? I still can't really see them, but they're back there somewhere. Let's just turn that slightly. There we are. Spirit in the Blue Sky, how are you? Welcome aboard. How is everybody? Lake Ontario, well, it's still cold. I mean, where we are here, there's been very little wind today, and there's no waves at all today. During the day, we had 5-6 miles an hour, 6 knots. Now we got nothing, but that's good. It's a nice evening, and I cross fingers that we're not going to get too many bugs. If there's no wind, then the bugs seem to come out. If it's windy, then the bugs get blown away. But I saw a bunch of swallows flying by, and they, of course, eat the bugs. So swallows are a good kind of bird to have. So as I was saying, the mainsail's up, so I'll talk about boat pieces for a few minutes. So the mainsail's up, and this boat has some full battens, and it has a couple half battens. And the problem is the half battens, they flop around when there's even a little bit of wind. And when the boat was originally sold, so it's a 20-year-old boat, when the boat was originally sold, it came with a thing that's referred to as a stack pack. So it's a set of ropes that keep the sail from flopping around. And somewhere in its incarnations, somebody lost the parts of that, so now it has just a regular sail cover, and the sail flops around when it's coming down, which is not good for the people that are sitting in the cockpit if they get hit by falling sails. It's not going to hurt them, but it's annoying. And so they replaced the stack pack with a regular sail cover. And last year I made sort of my own stack pack or own lazy jacks that work a little bit to keep the sail from flopping around. And this year's, one of this year's projects will be to rebuild that properly. And there's a YouTube channel. I think it's called the Good, the Bad, the Ugly. It was about a boat that was called the Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and it's about a couple young people that bought this boat and headed south, and they sailed. So hopefully the noise of the motor from next door is not going to drown us out. If it is, let me know and I'll move this inside and still leave the camera out here. Now, if he's going to go sailing, so that means that the noise is only temporary. But so Good, the Bad, the Ugly, or GBU, they have several episodes of where they built or sewed this sail cover that for their boat, and that prompted me to research. There's a company in Florida that sells the fabric and the zippers and all the other pieces that are required to make this thing as a kit. So that I found them, and they sell a sort of industrial grade sewing machine that will sew the canvas and put in the eyelets and all the other things that are necessary to make it work. So that was my research from that, and there were an interesting couple of sailors, and I think last I remember them, they were in Key West, and then they I think they bought a homestead or started homesteading in Puerto Rico. And then the whole content of the YouTube channel changed, because instead of being about boats and sailing, it was more about clearing land and raising chickens and some of the off-the-grid stuff. But their channel was wonderful, and they went through and did a lot of these things themselves in terms of updating their boat, and most interesting was building this stack pack to keep the sail from flopping around. It also keeps the water off the sail a little bit, so in the on a rainy day you don't get water lying on the sail and getting moldy and picking up bugs, and that's always a good thing as well. So it's sort of a project. Now, I'm not going to buy an industrial grade sewing machine. I went to Walmart and bought a $69 Singer that is good enough for sewing the canvas fabric. I've made a couple of things already. It's a project. So yeah, so the neighbor's on his way out, and our noise is ahoy! Our noise is dying down. So, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera a little bit, because now we don't have to worry about his privacy, and we'll get more of a look down the fairway of the marina. We tried last time to get a shot of sunset. The sun is out better, but it'll go down behind the trees again, and that was kind of boring. So it didn't turn out the way we'd hoped. Pardon me, drink of water there. I don't know if the microphone picks up all of those good gurgling noises. Yeah, he's planning to go sailing, but I have no wind. The flag at one of the marina buildings is totally not moving. wind indicators on the boats on each side are totally not moving. So that's going to be a quiet evening. Yeah, my mother had a treadle singer. So this would be in the 50s, 60s, I guess. And she made a lot of clothes for the whole family. And my sister inherited that, and she uses it as a just as a table, but I guess it's a souvenir of when she was young. I think the bigger thing, the sewing machine seems to be strong enough, is finding thread that is thin enough to go through the consumer grade needles, but strong enough to not strong enough to hold the fabric together. And structurally, it's basically just two panels of cloth with as long as the boom, so about 12 feet long, and a couple loops on one side for ropes to go into, and the commercial versions have a zipper that closes, so you need like a 12-foot zipper, but those are available from the marine supply stores. And we'll give it a try. There's not enough room on the boat really to sew that, but there's a bunch of picnic tables. Hey, JFC TV. There's a bunch of picnic tables that around that will probably work pretty well as a sewing table for something that's pretty big. Where's my mouse? Hey, JCTV made you a mod. New will make you a mod network to your heart's content. I love networking at other people's lives, and I think that's really the greatest value of having a live or going through people's lives, because you get to meet other people. And Natty, let's make you a mod as well. Everybody's a mod. Everybody gets a car. Oh, I think I got everybody now, right? Rems, I can't remember whether I made Rems a mod last time. Let's make you a mod. Nope, there you go. Everybody's a mod. Natty, pin message, yeah. So the sail is made of a Dacron fabric. It's got a lot of chemicals in it, so that it's very stiff and windproof. The thing that I want to make is not the sail itself, but it's really a sail cover, and they are made out of canvas. Now there's a company called Sunbrella that makes the bulk of all the canvases that are used on boats and patio furniture, and patio gazebos and umbrellas and stuff like that. I mean, there's other versions, but the one that's easily bought in 1,000 colors is Sunbrella. It's American, so I guess we're going to have a little bit of a tariff on it, but that's not the end of the world. And all the other canvas in this boat is sort of a deep navy blue, so this will be the same navy blue color. And that'll be my my summer project in terms of the boat. The other thing that I figured I'd do some unboxing videos. Actually, I'm going to try to figure out how to become an Amazon affiliate and make tons of money, according to the TikTok influencers. Pay my mortgage with Amazon unboxing videos. And so I bought a barbecue that's designed for boat to sit on the stern rail with a propane tank, and that will need some adapters to make it fit the railing properly. There's going to be an airplane going overhead, so I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes. We're right in the path to the Toronto Island Airport. There's not a lot of planes. This is a Bombardier Q400, twin propeller, 120 passengers kind of thing. We're probably going to get one an hour. It's evening, so maybe one every half hour. And they come in over this area, and most times, unless the wind is really blowing strongly from the east, and then they'll come in from the other side of the airport, and we won't get the noise. So it's a little bit of noise, but it's not bad. Hey, Zerials, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Just sitting outside here, chatting for a while, looking at the reflections of boats in the water. It's a nice day. I'm actually sitting outside. I don't think we have a lot of winds. I don't think we have any wind noise. And listening to other people and listening to boats and sort of watching the marine world go by. I'm just going to rotate this camera a little bit so that we've got a different view. A little bit more. There we are. Yeah, so that's a view down the fairway. I'm going to see a few boats going by from time to time, and me sticking my head out to see what we can see. Originally I wanted to do these lives on Wednesdays, and it's been raining for the last 2 Wednesdays, and they said it was going to rain tomorrow. Hey, Lucy Warrens, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Good to see you. So the last 2 Wednesdays have been rainy, and it was supposed to be rainy tomorrow, and now they have apparently canceled that rain due to lack of interest. I guess the forest fire people would love more rain, widespread rain. But outside of that, I don't want any more rain. But here's Tuesday, and I'm just as happy to be down here today as tomorrow. If the weather stays nice, then we'll put up the jib sail. That's less effort. It's less complicated. It's a sail at the front of the boat, and when I put it away in the fall, I've done this for some years. There's fewer things that can go wrong, so it's easier to deal with. Yeah, the forest fire haze. So they talk about it. The sun. I should see it more when the sun gets closer, but the sun is about 4 fingers from the horizon, so it's about an hour from the horizon, and it hasn't turned orange yet. Some people have complained about smoke in the air, and I could smell it last night. At the end of the day, it was after dark, but I thought I had allergies the day before. I was coughing and sneezing my face off. And I don't think it's allergies. I think it was the smoke. But today is pretty good. And you know, down by the water, there's the trees are far away. There's no pollen. So the air on the water is always different than air in the city or air in the country. It's so clean, and we don't get a lot of algae and seaweed here, or fish die off. I mean, there's west of here in Hamilton and into Lake Erie. People have complained about fish die off this year that they thought was bigger than usual, either because the winter was too warm or the winter was too cold. But here we haven't seen a lot of that. We haven't seen a lot of that. Couple swallows flying by looking to catch a few insects. There was 10 big Canada geese floating around in the water here when we started this, and they've all gone. I don't know. Oh, there they are. You can probably see them. They're in that empty fairway. About halfway down, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll come around and look for food. I guess the biggest thing with Canada geese, in addition to them flying into airplane engines, is they crap everywhere. So you got to watch where you walk, especially in the grass, because goose crap is the same color as grass, because all they're doing is eating grass, right? Here we are talking about goose crap. I was talking to a guy and he says he's got a yellow powerboat, and so yellow is a rare color. Most powerboats are white, sometimes beige. There's a couple that are black, but his is yellow, he said. So I haven't been over to his dock. He's a couple of docks over, but I wanted to say hello to him and see why he had a yellow boat as opposed to a normal color. But I mean, I had a boat that I painted red because I don't know why I painted red. When I got it, it was already old. It was a Kit O'Day Mariner 19-foot boat, and somebody had assembled it, and the top was white and the hull was blue. That was it. And I didn't like the color of the blue, because it had deteriorated over time. So I said, okay, I'm going to paint this thing red. I don't know if that was an improvement or not. But it was a good boat. I had it for a few years and sailed it around the lake. And then the thing to say about sailors, of course, people with sailboats, and any boater is you get 2-footitis. You need a boat that's 2 feet bigger. Yeah, the boats know it's time to fish. So you can probably see if you're looking down. Yeah, if you're looking down, just in the middle of the picture, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Canada geese, and they're just drifting down. You don't see any movement because it's just their feet paddling in the water. So they're coming up for a look, and I don't want to feed them. I guess I've got some bread and some other stuff that we could throw at them, but that's not good for them. The baked goods aren't good for them, and they say that if they get used to eating human food, then they forget how to forage for their own. Now, some people would rather that the Canada geese all died off anyway, so maybe that's not the end of the world if that were to happen. But I'm not going to get involved in the kill off of the geese. Yes, 2-footitis. That's what they say about sailors. As soon as you have a boat, it's got to be 2 feet bigger. So, what's my boat history? So I had a 12-foot laser, and then 16-foot plastic Wayfarer, a CL16, and then the 19-foot O'Day, and then a 25-foot Northern, which was a really nice boat. That kept it at the Toronto Island Marina, so it's a marina on Toronto Island right next to the airport. So you get more plane noise, but it's a bit isolated because you can't get to the island except by ferry. And in Toronto, the last ferry runs at 11 o'clock. And new. I've never owned a kayak. I've rented a couple. I've rented them in Florida, in the Keys, and that was kind of fun. Except I'm not used to tides, and so we're out paddling, and at the time of the tides changing. So it was real work to get back. So it's good exercise. And I can't swim either, so I mean you're out there with life jackets, but there's always that fear that if you dump it, then what do you do? No, I can in salt water it floats, so it's not all that bad. But yeah, so we had the Mariner, then we had the Northern 25, sorry, and that was a nice boat. It was like the O'Day had an outboard motor. The Northern had an outboard motor. It's the biggest thing that was wrong with it. It had very old sails, so the sails are old and floppy, and old floppy sails don't always go where you want them to go. And I remember once sailing in a bit of a storm, I was afraid we were going to tip it over because the way the wind was blowing the sail, it was scary. So that got that lasted a few years, and then got a CS27. So that was a heavy-duty boat, the thick fiberglass. Everything seemed heavy duty on it, and I had that boat for 25 years, and it was already old when I got it. So it's most exciting. I guess a couple of exciting moments. One is out with a bunch of accountants for an afternoon sail, and the guy that. One of the guys that was there, his name was George as well. We got into a bit of a wind, and it got to be a little bit interesting on the water. And hey, Glory, welcome aboard. Let's give you a jacket, network as you wish. And so I'm taking down the sail, and I said, well, George, start the engine. So he turned the key, and boat engines start like car engines. You turn the key. And he turned so hard he broke off the key, which was embarrassing in itself. But there's still enough of the key sticking out that we were able to start the engine, and we ended up with no challenge. And the other interesting, one other interesting sailing experience with that was, again, with an accountant. And we're out, and the wind picked up. And somehow I said, can't remember her name. Lana was her name. So I said, Lana, pull on this rope and we'll bring in the sail so that we're not tipping as much. And somehow she got the sail wrapped around the forestay so that it wouldn't go up and wouldn't come down. And that ended up with a little bit of excitement. DJ, welcome aboard. That ended up with a little bit of excitement. But we got back into the marina. At that point, the boat was in a yacht club. Got back there without any challenge. So things can go sideways. Pardon me, just a sip of water there. Things can go sideways, and part of the challenge and part of the experience is dealing with them and making sure that you come out without anybody getting unnecessarily wet. Yeah, here another airplane coming by. So yeah, it's about every half hour we're getting a Dragon King Corso. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Nice to see you. There's a plane going to fly overhead, so I'm going to stop talking for a minute. You know, there was a movie, can't remember what it was called, but one of the scenes was the heroes or heroines or whoever was in the show went out to the end of a runway of an airport to scream. And the airport was LAX. In Los Angeles, and there's a road that runs by on one side, and I do remember being down there one year working, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go check out the runways at LAX and see what it was all about. And of course, you got jet planes coming in like 20-30 feet overhead, and they are loud. So it is an experience. These are just tiny little propeller planes, twin engine propeller planes. So there's no huge amounts of noise. Here we have at Pearson International, Toronto Pearson International, which is west of the city, west of north. So that's our bigger airport. And there's sort of public viewing areas at one end of one of the main runways. And I'd park up there mainly to take pictures of planes, but you get planes coming, again, they're coming 30-40 feet overhead. And different jet engines make different noises, but some of them also, there's a wind noise after the plane has gone by, and it almost feels like these little wind currents are fighting with each other. Not so much from the jets, but from the air flowing over the wings or over the tail. The turbulence in some way, because these things are still coming in at 30, 40, 50 miles an hour when they're about to land. And yeah, so those are interesting sounds that we get there. So I'm looking at the sun. It's not going to do a lot. I'm going to swing the camera around. I don't think we're going to burn its eyeballs out. Let's see what we see. If we're going to get a decent sunset today. No, see the same. Oh, we got a sail tie overhead. It's the same as we had last time, in that it's going to be. It's not going to be a decent looking sunset from that perspective. So now I'll just say hi to you for a few minutes here. And from this angle, oh, another airplane coming by. It's getting chilly. There was almost like a fog came in about 5 or 6 minutes ago. And it actually felt cold. I don't have a thermometer here to tell what the temperature is. Okay, I'll wait till this plane goes by. So it's getting chilly, and the wind was from the west. The west wind here usually means that it's going to be decent weather, but the forecast was for the wind to be from the east, and an east wind typically means that it's going to be bad weather. So I don't know what the gods of weather are doing to us today. But the chilly fog is a bit unexpected. It's a bit unexpected, so we'll see what the rest of the evening is like, whether we're going to end up with cold, or whether we're going to end up with rain. Just checking myself out on the computer to see what the chat looks like. Weird. You know, I like when the sun starts reflecting off some of the boats. Hey, Sunshine Lives, welcome aboard. I was just fiddling around with the computer and didn't realize that you'd come aboard. So let's give you a jacket as well. Network as you think appropriate. So we'll see what the evening's like. What I've been doing is getting the outside views while it's nice outside, and then go back to finish our live in the cabin. So I'm going to zoom away from me That's kind of boring. And let's go back to looking at boats, I think. Yeah, so let's just turn it just a little bit more. Maybe I shouldn't fiddle as much. Let's see what this picture looks like. A little bit crooked. Let's straighten you out. There you are. Let's see what interesting birds and boats we have going by. Yeah, it's. I like being on the water. I like being on the water. It's. I like the smells. I like the ocean better, I think. Because the salt water has a little bit of a different smell than fresh water, and you know, algae and stuff like that in the ocean is always there. The Oh, there we are. Okay, I was trying to figure out why on Microsoft Edge I wasn't getting a chat window, and here we are. It was just me looking at the wrong things, I guess. Yeah, there's birds flying overhead. We don't see them in the camera, but there's these stupid cormorants. So they're black birds. They're not ducks. They're not geese. They're their own thing. There's hundreds of them flying in flocks. So you see them like in the big V formation flying overhead, and they eat fish. But the biggest thing is that they nest in the trees. And the trees that you see at the end of that waterway, past the boats, that's a park here, the Leslie Spit. And they've taken over one corner of that so badly that the trees are all dead. They're white from bird crap. And some people that are looking for ecological diversity say, yeah, we should honor every animal, even if it's crapping on all the trees and killing the trees. And other people saying, why are we leaving these things around? They're like flying rats. So hard to know who's right and who's wrong. And they in Mississippi and Missouri, I think they're a big problem there as well, because they've sort of taken over big chunks of land and killing everything else. So the biodiversity is, of course, gone out the window. But they're allowed to be hunted, and I think they even have a bounty on them. But I don't know if they're good to eat or not. But I guess you can always make cat food out of them. So recycle them into something else. So anyway, we're talking about 2-foot-itis. So 25-foot boat with the sail issues, then the 27, which was good. It sold that, and the people who sold it to had 1 or 2 boats already, so they were experienced boaters, but they had like an all-day sail to get it to where they lived. The boat was in Toronto, and they lived past Kingston, so they were going to motor and sail to Kingston. And the plane's overhead, so we'll stop talking for a few minutes while this plane does whatever it's going to do. So this thing had a Yanmar 1-cylinder 8 horsepower engine. So the sailboat engines are always underpowered compared to anything else in the world, right? But it moved with that 8 horse engine. The biggest advantage of an 8 horse engine or 9 horse engine is that in many areas anything under 10 horsepower doesn't need to be licensed. So it had that built-in advantage. And I think that same engine, it's a Japanese engine, we used to make water pumps and a lot of industrial equipment. So it's a well-developed engine. But again, this thing was 25, 30 years old. And these people sailed it from where it was in Toronto. And about 5 hours out, they had an engine problem. So all marine engines, all boat engines, not all, but most boat engines have a water muffler. So the water muffler has water in it to reduce the noise, but also most motors have cooling water. So the cooling water goes into the exhaust pipe and then into the muffler. And there's a thing called a mixing elbow on these Yanmar engines, and again on most engines. But Yanmars, they all look the same. No matter whether it's one cylinder or 4 cylinders, they all are basically the same construction. And this thing rusted out over that time, and they're motoring out to take their boat home. And it was sold as is, whereas, cash only, because I wanted to get rid of it. I wanted to do something different. Another plane going overhead, so we'll just stop for a minute. So the stupid mixing elbow broke open, and that's bad because the engine is pumping water through this thing to cool itself and cool the exhaust. And if the pipe that's leading it out to the stern is broken, then you're going to get water in the boat. And diesel exhaust won't kill you, they say, but you get exhaust fumes everywhere as well. So that was a bit of excitement that I hadn't planned and hadn't anticipated, but wasn't covered under the non-existent warranty. So they had to get that fixed. So better that it happened to them than it happened to me. But that was annoying. And then I ended up with this boat. So that's 27 is 2 feet. This one's 32, so that's a little bit more than 2 feet, but it's a good boat. It'll be a good place to hang out over the summer. Get some sailing in when the weather's nice. We're not heavy weather sailors. I mean, the 10 knots, 10 miles an hour, 20 kilometers is where I like it to be. A little bit less is good. Over 15, you get white caps and waves, and it starts becoming less fun, and we end up with issues like we had with George and Lana when they wrapped up my sails and broke off my key. Because things get scary. You know, the thing is that you're not supposed to react in a hurry. Nothing happens instantaneously. Everything takes a few minutes to get into trouble, and a few minutes to get out of trouble is a good thing as well. So it just something to keep in mind. Don't panic, and you'll be okay. So that's where we're at. it needs. We do give it a bit of work. As they will bought this barbecue, boat barbecue, put that on the back, and then look for recipes that build on that. Another airplane, and next week, maybe even starting tomorrow, do an unboxing on this thing and see where all the parts are. And maybe when I do that, I'll bring a couple of steaks with me, and it'll get christened with a couple of steaks or a piece of chicken breast. So, and then I think we can. There's a whole list of sort of boat-friendly barbecue things that you can make as well. It makes me think of the time I was sailing in the British Virgin Islands with a charter boat, and they had a barbecue on the back, and they provided us with a different meat for each day of the week. Is a 1 week long charter. So one day was fish. So they got the fish out on the barbecue, hanging off the back of the boat, and sitting there minding my own business, and the cover of the barbecue was open, because why not, right? And a seagull comes down and steals the fish off the barbecue. So that was, I mean, it should have had a camera. This was before everybody had a cell phone, so it didn't capture that. Wrote an article about it, probably if it's on the internet, if you search for GAM magazine, GAM magazine, you may find it. Not sure what the title was at the time. It was probably like "Seagull Stole Our Fish in the British Virgin Islands." It's a kind of title that sort of makes sense in hindsight. It's getting very cold here. I'm going to leave the camera out here but I'm going to go down below and find myself a shirt or jacket. This fog is, I don't see fog actually on the water, although it could be coming in a little bit foggy. I'm looking further out to the trees that are further away, and it's possible that we're going to have fog coming in. There's a lighthouse at the end of that park that years ago, and I'm saying years, maybe 10 years ago, was an active fog signal. So they had a foghorn, and where I live is maybe 10 miles away from there. And so on a foggy day, you'd hear the woot, woot. The lighthouse is still there. It still has a light signal on it, but haven't heard the foghorn in years. It's kind of an interesting sound, especially when you can't see much, and you just hear the horn sound. I'm gonna just go inside and look for a jacket, and we'll leave the camera where it is for the time being. I'm not on the camera anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'll try not to kick the thing. It's a little bit cramped in here. And I think while I'm doing that, I'm going to clean up a little bit. I had some stuff that I was digging out when I was looking for that sail that got moved around. Okay, that's clean enough. let's turn on these lights. And yeah, get a jacket. Wow. I'm going to get a thermometer and bring it down here. I've got a barometer. It really doesn't move, so for all we know, it's even past its prime from that perspective. But should probably get a thermometer. I mean, we've got a wind instruments that measure the wind at the top of the mast, and but that's only works when the navigation system is turned on, and we don't really turn that on when the boat's not moving. It's connected to an autopilot and tries to turn the wheel, and when it thinks the direction of the wind has changed, and it creates a weird motion in the boat that we don't really need. So we turn that off when we're not going anywhere. Okay, so there's that. Sometimes when I'm in the boat and a motor goes by, I was talking about the noise that airplanes make when they've gone by, but the propellers underwater make sort of an interesting sound as well. That when you look at the movie like The Hunt for Red October, was that the one about the submarines with Sean Connery? So you get all these strange sounds that are happening underwater, and the first time you hear them, you wonder, what's that? What's causing that? And but then after a while, you know what's causing it, so you don't care anymore. But still, you do get some weird noises, and I find it's easy to get to sleep with those noises. It's at home when there's weird noises, hard to get to sleep. When here on the water, no problem at all. No problem at all. So it's different sound, different noises for different environments, I guess. Okay, so we're cleared up. Mess is cleaned up down here. Let's see what it looks like outside. Nothing's really changed. Hear the noise of somebody fixing their boat. So yeah, there is fog. If you look, you don't see it yet in the picture, but when I look out of the trees, the trees are sort of in layers, because there's a road that's behind the first set of trees, and then there's another set of trees. So the second set of trees has become hidden in the fog. So that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. We'll leave the camera outside for a while to see if we're going to get like serious fog coming in here. I think I had a video. I took it down at one point. Of fog in the marina when I couldn't see more than 3 or 4 boats away. But it was on a sunny day. So when the sun shines through the fog, you end up like weird lighting effects. Yeah, that sun is behind the trees, but it's not doing anything that's at all interesting. So I did think that we would have a sunset over the water. But I guess we're not 100% east to west here, because the sun's supposed to set in the west, and here it almost looks like the sun is setting in the north. Let's see if we get. Oh yeah, I can see the fog now. The last row of trees. Let's see if we can make this picture bigger. A little bigger. I think we'll be able to see the fog now at that angle. So that boat just went by there, so we're still seeing that. So it hasn't really hurt us there. Let's just straighten this out. But let's see if we can stay outside until those trees disappear. So even the first row of trees is getting a little bit of fog in them. And people in the jet skis, I guess, are on the other side of the park on the Ashbridges Bay side of the park. So yeah, there's a thing going through the news here. Kind of sad, in fact, that there's there are a lot of rocks up against the shore that are put there intentionally to stop erosion from the waves, and so the Ashbridges Bay, they're doing quite a bit of rock building to reclaim some bits of land. And 3 years ago, somebody in a 30-foot motorboat ran into the rocks, and with a bunch of people on board, and 2 people died in that accident. And everybody was drinking. And the thing that's in the news here is which of 2 guys was driving the boat at that time to blame, I guess. And in the end, in the trial for this case, nobody could remember who was driving the boat, so it ended up with nobody being held criminally responsible. But drinking and boating is always a risk. It's a risk practically, and it's a risk in that in this area there are Marine police that have nothing better to do than look for people drinking, because accidents happen. And interesting, it's sort of really is a roundabout interesting series of events. Is at the time, I guess this was at the end of COVID, I was doing photography for Uber Eats, and I'm in a restaurant talking to this guy, and he told me he was a Marine police officer, and I said, yeah, I'm a sailor, and at that time, that's when that accident happened. I said, did you hear about this accident in Ashbridges Bay? And he said, yeah, I was on the Marine unit that rescued those people. So it's a bit of a small world when you think about it, that we're all only 6 degrees of separation. Let's see. This fancy dancy microphone has lost its Okay, so the fancy microphone has lost its mind. We don't totally know why. So we're going to have to just deal with the sound as it is. Hopefully we can clear through there. Can you hear now, Rustic? Yeah, that's interesting. The Bluetooth microphone lost its mind there, and so now we're just using the microphone on the phone. So this is flashing. I don't know what that means. It's not paired. Who knows? Too much technology. But we can live without it in here. The reason for the Bluetooth microphone is to avoid wind noise. Now, we didn't have any wind to speak of, but the other thing that the microphone can do is keep it's like to talk. I'm just going to change this phone and put it in a better holder that doesn't block the microphone as much. Sorry for all of that noise. Not sure that that's any better. Let's just rethink what this is all about. Let's just walk around for a minute with the phone, looking for something that we can use to hold it up. Here, how about this? So this won't block the microphone as much. Got a boat part that's holding it up. Okay, that's a boring background. There we are. So now we're back to boring background. Yeah, I don't know what to talk about either. I mean, I listen to some people and they don't talk. I was, and I'm happy with spending an hour as I'm a backyard trucker. So he's driving this truck and talking about the highway and the exits on the highway. And I found it interesting. I enjoyed it, and obviously he had other people. Okay, this phone microphone arrangement is giving me more grief than I really want. I don't know what to do about it. I'm sorry, bear with me. We will find a solution. There, water bottle. A water bottle will hold it up, so that's good. The yeah, so it it's a networking opportunity in terms of building up a following, and If some of it makes any sense, then I'm happy with that. If it doesn't make any sense, then stick around and build up my watch hours. Um, I, I watch one person almost every day, a lady by the name of Lashona, that talks about internet, the internet experience or the YouTube experience, and and she preaches, and it's an interesting time to hear what she has to say. And now I've been listening to her for 4 or 5 months, and there is some repetition. Um, but there's also each day is a new take on whatever is important to her that that makes sense to her. And yeah, I, I've been on lives, and it's hi, how are you, and I'm happy with that as well. I feel the need that I have to talk. Maybe I should just listen to the birds going by. Um, but we've lost our birds now that we're inside. And it's a way to, in the whole YouTube um, monetization world, it's a way to get hours that YouTube feels they can eventually sell advertising into. Energy, yeah, hi. I saw you somewhere this afternoon. I can't remember whose live you were on. Thank you for coming aboard my little boat. Um, yeah, I can't remember whose live you were on that I was um, that I saw you. And so yeah, so thank you for coming. So that's part of the networking thing that Josie's like, okay, yeah. Josie, Wisconsin, yeah. Yeah, and we're talking about what people talk about in life. So he was talking about some personal issues and talking about the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. So we were talking about the wildfires too, and it's a way of spending time that is unstructured. It would be nice if the lives were voices in both directions. Um, because here the host gets to talk and the guests get to type. Although some hosts do type, I can't type fast enough to keep up with anybody. Um, it yeah, and then some people have figured out how to use the Nightbot program to send the messages from the host to the audience. Hey, Angelic Alchemist, haven't seen you in a long time, a whole day or two. Welcome aboard. Always nice to have you. Because I think I was on your live yesterday or today. I can't even remember. I was talking about what to talk about on a live. So um, people listen. Yeah, it's a world that's small. So when we had COVID, like everybody got into Zoom meetings. So I had a lot of Zoom meetings, and the thing with the Zoom meetings is unless you don't want to, is that everybody can talk to everybody at the same time. And so it's a little bit like a real life meet and greet party. Um, Sometimes it gets overwhelming because everybody's talking at the same time, and And in a Zoom meeting, there isn't a host and a bunch of guests. Everybody's more equal at the same level, unless the host wants to prevent people from talking. Whereas this environment that YouTube has provided is is more focused into one host and an audience of people that are listening more than anything else. I've never been in a Google Hangout, um, which I think it was a precursor to the lives on YouTube, and they may still have them. I know that when for a while I was doing work for Google, photography work for Google for Street View. Um, and they would have a hangout kind of presentation or meeting every few weeks to talk about things in the Google Street View and Google Maps world that they wanted to share. It was really a one-way communication. A Google presenter would talk about whatever issues were important to them at the time, and everybody else would really just listen, because the reason we're there was to see what was important to them and what we should change in the way that we did this photography work. So it was kind of an interesting period. I did it for about 4 or 5 years, um, and did some interesting work. Once in a while, I get an email still telling me that some store that I took pictures of has now been viewed 500,000 times. Yeah, and gee, I do use Google Translate. I don't have translation set up in any of my browsers. Like there's a plugin that you can click on things and it'll translate on the fly, because I don't want Google snooping on me that much. So I actually have Google Translate as a bookmark in my browser. And if I want to translate something, I just have to copy and paste it. Um, it makes it a bit difficult in some of the lives in a language that I don't speak, because I don't know what people are saying. And some things is okay because they're really saying it to their host. So if two people are speaking in whatever language, I'm just a guest spending time on their live. But I think I will maybe try to figure out how to set it up so that I can click on anything on the screen and have it translated into English. It makes things a little bit more immediate. Um, and it takes some of the mystery out of what you're seeing. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Translate, sometimes it doesn't make sense, and so then you move on. I'm reading today about another lawyer in Canada. I guess got in trouble because he used ChatGPT to prepare a legal brief, and the stuff that was in the brief wasn't real. It was just something that ChatGPT invented, and Google's AI is now doing sort of the same thing. And I do read what they have to say, and sometimes I know that what it's saying is not the complete story. It's not necessarily wrong, but it's not the complete story. So you're relying on programs like Google Translate and ChatGPT, and you don't really have any way of knowing whether they're right or wrong, because if you knew, then you wouldn't need them in the first place. So it's it's a technology issue that you have to deal with carefully. I saw an ad that Google is now in the AI generated video business for $26 US a month. I'd like to investigate that because I think you can do some interesting stuff with AI generated video. I've seen some wonderful things that people have done, and I've seen some stuff that I ask myself, what were they thinking when they did this? The I know TikTok is full of cat videos, and I guess YouTube is as well, and full of people offering to be consultants on how you can get rich doing AI cat videos. Um, and some of them are really cute. Now, they're only cute for a few seconds. So there's a lot of videos that I came across that are, because I'm interested in cooking, right? So there's a lot of videos that are of exaggerated views of cooking. So you're pouring cereal in a bowl, and they've got little cranes and little helicopters lifting the cereal box over the bowl, and the little people doing the pouring, or one that comes to mind is shredding cheese. So there's a video of a big piece of cheese, and these little people with hard hats crawling up and down this piece of cheese with pickaxes, chopping off little bits of cheese. And they're a cute anomaly for a few seconds, and then they lose their interest after a while. Um, they're I think it's a little bit because they're a little bit repetitive, and even if you look at cartoons, like old style cartoons, the story is different every time. And with some of these things, there is no story. It's just a situation, but it's little people making bits of cheese, little people cutting a slice of bread, little people putting butter on a piece of bread, with machinery. So some of them are repetitive. But now I've come across another one recently, and again, it was on TikTok, not on YouTube. And these are machinery AI videos. So they're fantastical machines with huge wheels and lights and lasers and things that turn. Um, a little bit a reminder of steampunk. Steampunk was a little bit of fantastical machinery, machine environments. Um, so I've seen a few of those, and because they're new, they are interesting. But after you've seen 10 or 20 of them, they would probably lose their allure as well. That there'd be no point in watching something that doesn't exist, can't exist. It's a total figment of somebody's imagination, and there's no long-term story. Again, if you look at a cartoon on television, or or the internet, but I'm thinking of South Park, for instance. Those are more television cartoons than internet cartoons. There's a story, and a beginning and a middle and an end, and sometimes character development, and I don't see that in any of the AI creations. So it's a little bit hard to know what to make of it. And then you get into AI news, and you have a picture of a flood. I guess, yeah. When we had the California fires, right, the fires in Malibu, there were pictures of the fires on the mountain from well-known television sources, and then we started seeing pictures of other pictures, and so they started seeing helicopters spraying houses and trees that are on fire, and they were AI. So now you come into the question of news and misleading news and misinformation. So is it misinformation to show a picture of a helicopter spraying a house? And if the helicopter has a hose going into the ocean spraying the house, you think very quickly that that isn't physically feasible. But for a few seconds, you say, "Oh, that could be real." I remember another one. There was a picture of a building on fire. Now it was a fake building in a fake city, but it was presented in the middle of the pictures of the California fires, and you ask yourself, is that real or is it? And if you again look at movies about fake fires, Towering Inferno comes to mind. It was a movie about an office building on fire. Um, it had a story independent of the building being on fire. Whereas these things, it's a few seconds of attention, and then it's lost its interest. So it's I don't know what to make of AI. I'd like to play with it. I don't know if I'm going to pay Google $26 US a month for the pleasure. Probably will at one point, or more likely when Adobe does the same thing, because I'm paying Adobe for software $10 a month. Why does it say I'm live? Something just happened. Hey, creatures. We're just talking about AI generated art, so that's close to your wheelhouse. And my skepticism of some AI generated art, especially in AI generated movies and AI generated fake news, like I was talking about the fires, pictures of buildings on fire that were claimed to be in the LA fires and the Malibu fires. And at first glance, they were real. They looked real, and then when you thought about it for a minute, you realized they weren't real. And so TikTok and YouTube are asking their creators to label things as AI. And I guess people are, because everybody's looking for eyeballs, and AI is a neat, shiny object that people are spending time on. It's almost the same as airplanes. So you get airplane videos of plane crashes, and it's not AI; it's Flight Simulator. And because Flight Simulator the graphics are so good, and I don't own or play Flight Simulator, but I know it exists. But I also know the physics of an airplane flying, and some of the stuff that people are posting. I saw another one, and this one is claimed to be AI. Is two cruise ships running into each other, and the boat's crumpling but not sinking, because it was only a 15-second video. And you say to yourself, yeah, that's not real, because it's too dramatic. But if you had but it's easy to see that somebody would create a video of a cruise ship tipping over in a wave. The I don't know. It's hard to know. Yeah, it is interesting. I did some work with a guy that was a set designer for TV shows here, and his world was all practical. So he would build contraptions and things that that provided an image to viewers. His son became a 3D CGI artist, and so his son would create the same set now 20 years later, or the same story completely in CGI. Um, what's in CGI and AI? I mean, there's differences, but the effect is in the end to the viewer is the same. That you've created something that looks real and isn't, and sometimes it's not supposed to be real. So it's supposed to tell a story that's impossible. Star Wars was a story that was impossible. Um, you wonder what Star Wars, if it was created next year, whatever next year's episode is, what it's going to look like. And but Star Wars is going to have a Star Wars episode is going to have a story, a beginning, middle, and an end, and the effects are there simply to help tell the story. Somebody with a building on fire on TikTok or on a YouTube short, that is the story. So it's hard to know what to do. So when Adobe provides AI video, then I'll play with it. I've played with their AI photography, AI images, never with their AI vectors, but with their AI images. And some of it's good, some of it is pretty crappy in terms of the effect. If you look at it from the point of view of a graphic artist, it's a tool, and it takes the understanding of the artist of how to create and evaluate the result of what they've done. If a person goes to ChatGPT and asks ChatGPT to explain how to sail a boat, and they don't know how to sail a boat, then they have no way of evaluating whether what ChatGPT has provided for them is real or not. And this brings you back to the lawyers. So the lawyers that have used ChatGPT to write legal cases that they're hoping to have people proven innocent or guilty on the basis of, if they don't know enough about the thing that they're talking about, then how do they know whether the thing that they've presented is real? And I guess again at some point you get AI deciding whether you're guilty or not to some extent, and with AI using not sort of an analysis of the facts that are presented in sort of a traditional way, but AI just saying, okay, everybody else that might have been in a Porsche on Highway 10 at 11 o'clock would have killed the driver. So therefore, you were in a Porsche on Highway 10 at 11 a.m. Therefore, you did kill the driver. So it's an interesting world. It's an interesting world. The and I guess music is a similar question, although in my mind, not being a musician, I like the way things sound, and um, I can't, I don't know enough to know whether a thing is AI or human generated. Um, I've heard some AI things. I've played with some AI things from a couple AI music generators, and to me they sound good. Um, their North American music is not complicated. The notes are the notes, and the chords are the chords, and we accept that some things sound good if the notes are arranged in a certain way. Um, and AI has simply learned that from analyzing 300,000 other songs. So from that perspective, I'm quite happy with the result of AI generated music. More than I think I would be with is the AI generated video. Um, or AI generated art. And a lot of AI generated art, from what I see, the colors are too perfect, and the shadows are too perfect. Um, and the people seem to be a little bit too similar. But that's just me. So yeah, AI. I like to play with it. Am I interested in watching more AI cat video? If one comes by, I'd scroll right through it. Wouldn't spend more than a second looking at it. Would I look at an AI generated exaggerated cooking video where as I say, we've got these people with hard hats climbing on a piece of cheese and digging out bits of cheese to make shredded cheese? That doesn't do anything for me. And I haven't seen this yet, if I saw a video of shrimp being put into a frying pan and then twirled around, and heard a sizzling sound, and watched the shrimp turn pink, would I believe that the image was valid? Would I believe that the story that the image was trying to tell me was valid? Probably. I think about that sometimes. So if I'm cooking, right, so I'm cutting up an onion, and then I'm cutting up a piece of meat, and then I'm putting them into a frying pan. All of those things could be probably generated artificially, and the visual effect would be good. The issue is, unless you've actually cooked it, you don't know that it works. Now, if your objective is not to cook food for people to eat, but to create food to show people how to make it or how to use it, or to educate people on some aspect of food preparation, then an AI generated video might be a fantastic way to do that without the effort of setting up a practical kitchen and the time that it takes to do that, because shrimp take 3 minutes to cook, and to generate shrimp on a computer it probably takes 30 seconds. And if you are cooking them in real life, in a practical sense, then you have to worry about having them spread out evenly over the pan so that the image is pleasing. Um, and if you didn't have them spread out evenly, or one was hiding behind another one, then you would have to redo it, or in my case, accept it and say it's an imperfect world. But in a perfect world, you'd redo it. Whereas in an AI generated um, version of cooking shrimp, the shrimp, the AI would generate an image that is pleasing based on its rules. And then if it didn't spread them out properly, or you thought that the color pink wasn't pink enough, then you would simply tell AI, let's make the shrimp pinker, and 30 seconds later, depending on the speed of the computer you're using, then 30 seconds later, you'd end up with a new um, version of those shrimp in a pan. So I can see some of that being quite useful for what I'm trying to do. So it'd be a different kind of visual experience that some people might want to see a real human being, but then again, you don't even know if the chef that's standing behind the frying pan is real, or whether she or he is also totally AI generated. Um, the I mean, it used to be that you could look at AI generated people, and if there's six fingers, you knew it was AI. I don't see six-fingered people anymore, but I did see a person with three arms that somehow it had generated, and this extra arm that didn't make sense, both in its placement and the fact that there was three arms. So it's a tool, it's a toy. It I guess if I was enough of a storyteller, maybe I would actually consider writing a story and then using AI to play it out. But I can't at this moment think of what the story would be. So maybe it would be a cooking story, and that would be a thing to try to see how it can fit into what we're doing here. And the thing with AI is that I've looked at AI generated sailing pictures, the picture, not video, photos, which again are generated from 100 other photos. So when somebody asks for a sailboat, I guess somehow, and I don't understand how large language model generative AI works, but somehow it finds all these elements of what a sailboat is and how they go together. But if they don't really go together in reality, in real life, then a sailor would recognize that the mast can't be there. I'm thinking of one picture I saw recently. So on a sailboat, there's a mast, and there's wires that connect it to hold it up, and the wire is at an angle between the boat and the mast, based on the height of the mast. And this picture had the wires, the backstay, where it should be connected to the boat, but it never connected to the mast. It just went up into the air as a freestanding thing that would never happen. and the mast would fall over because there's nothing to hold it up. So the the um, the AI program doesn't know that a boat has a backstay. It knows that it has a picture with a line that goes from one plane to another, and that it should have that a generated picture should have that line, should have that backstay. But it doesn't know. It doesn't know what it is, which I don't totally understand how generative AI works. Like how does it draw the pieces together for graphics? Um, for text like a ChatGPT, it's easier to understand that words that relate to each other, that have topics, that and have sentence structure, and that you can ask ChatGPT. As I did recently, I asked ChatGPT why people like the taste of chow mein noodles, and I got 50 words on the tastes. And I read it, and most of the words make sense to me. That so I ended up using that Chat GPT generated text in a blog to describe chow mein noodles. Um, I made a few changes because I wanted to change the sentence structure. Um, but the words that it chose, the adjectives and the adverbs that it chose, um, made sense to me. And some of them, there's a word umami, which I had only ever recently come across, and describes some kind of full body taste, usually in relation to Asian food. And it may in fact be a Japanese word. Um, and I had never used it in a sentence in my life. And ChatGPT offered it to me. And I said, great, now I've got a sentence that uses the word umami. And I think it's right because we're talking about something being a taste that fills your mouth. So, but how do I know that that's really true? So I could have been in trouble because I relied on ChatGPT to give me something as simple as a paragraph. Um, and and I'm kind of liking that strategy to use Chat GPT to create um, paragraphs that then I'll rewrite to fit sort of the sentence structure that I want to use. Although there may be a way to prompt it to give me that without it having to be rewritten. So it, it but I haven't figured that out. And but I've never tried, and I think I will because I'm thinking about it right now. I've never tried asking ChatGPT to give me a list of ingredients to make fettuccine alfredo, and it would be interesting to do that and see what it comes up with. Um, and it would be interesting to understand how it makes the choices of the words that it uses to create its recipe. Oh, I'm getting tired, so I think we're going to let this run for a few more minutes. It's getting dark out. The fog. I've still got the doors and the hatch open. The the cold fog is falling into the boat, and it's it's not summer. No, it's not summer anyway. But we talk about climate change and global warming, and I don't see it happening here. So let's see what YouTube thinks of what we're doing here. My computer is telling me that its battery is running low, so let's plug it in. Let's give it some juice. It's intelligence that was claiming that I had 5 hours of battery life. Obviously isn't that smart. Need a better AI for the battery counter on this thing. The I'm just looking to see if that hatch is closed. Yeah, it is. It is. So the cold air is coming in through the hatch at the back of the boat. But it's nice and dry inside. So even though, like, I don't want to do this in the rain because it's depressing in the rain, the view outside is harder to capture because I don't want to get the phone wet. And the view is more boring in the rain. I mean, we've had a couple in the rain, and much prefer the sun. Much prefer the sun. So we'll see what the weather is like next week. Whether we're going to do it on Wednesday or on Tuesday again. I can't think of what I have to do on Tuesday, Wednesday. A bit of a road trip at the end of the week for photography up to Ottawa, take pictures of some of the public buildings. That's a plan, but that'll be closer to the end of the week. And we're going to do this unboxing video for the boat barbecue. So it's not only just unboxing the thing, but also figuring out where I'm going to put it, because it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. And we want to work on the unboxing video for the air fryer. I bought a small air fryer for the boat. So it's small so that it fits in a corner. And the big air fryers, the basket air fryers, take up too much room. And to some extent take up too much power as well. So this is smaller. It's good for 2 people meals. Or appetizers for a bunch of people. But I can see bagel pizzas and sort of those simple things as recipes coming out of there. And then on the boat barbecue, it'll start with steak and chicken bits. And then I do want to recreate I mentioned earlier that I was sailing in the BVI, British Virgin Islands, and barbecuing fish on a boat barbecue on the back of the boat, and a seagull came down and stole my fish. So I'd like to recreate that, in fact, and Not 100% sure how to entice a seagull to steal my fish. Probably would just set it up as a without the barbecue actually running. A creature of the Maroon Lagoon was talking about practical effects, so that we'll set it up so the top of the barbecue's open, the fish is there, and it's visible to birds flying by, and yeah. So I was gonna say creatures that. So how do I entice the seagulls to visit me? Because I mean, here we were sitting outside for 2 hours, and some Canada geese came by, and floated by, and seagulls flew overhead, but none of them, to me, seemed close enough that they would smell a piece of fish. Now, maybe the barbecue has to be on enough to heat the fish so that the aroma gets up into the air, and attracts them. I now only need one seagull to swoop down. Although I guess if there's a couple of cameras set up at different angles on this, I know that when I go to the beach, we're not supposed to feed the seagulls, but every once in a while I will throw them a piece of a chocolate bar, and sometimes throw it to them close enough that they can see that I threw something towards them. But sometimes you throw something into an empty stretch of beach, and suddenly 4 seagulls will show up and fight over who's going to get that piece of chocolate bar. So it may take several pieces of fish to pull this off. I'm thinking of something like cod or tilapia is relatively inexpensive, and just enough warmth to create an aroma that the fish that the seagulls might find. And again, why? It's a story, right? It's 30 seconds of of hey, Healthy Kitchen, give you a jacket. Just talking about recreating what actually happened to me once I was sailing and cooking barbecuing fish off the back of the boat, and a seagull came down and stole my fish, stole my lunch, and recreating that. Now, then I'm saying to myself, okay, the seagull episode is only like 5 seconds, so we've got to make it longer, and it'll probably be around cooking fish on a barbecue, and then it'll cut to the attack of the seagulls. So it'll be now. Again, we're talking about AI, so possibly I could just ask Google AI to generate a video of a seagull swooping down to a barbecue to grab a piece of fish on the barbecue, and that would be enough to tell the story. But I think I actually want to stage it as something to do, right? Something to take credit for. And then some seagull's going to get a free piece of lunch, right? And the thing is, if the first seagull comes along, then there's going to be 3 or 4 others, so I have to figure out what to do with them. And maybe in real life, there was only 1 piece of fish on that barbecue, and only 1 seagull got lunch out of it. Maybe in recreating it, if there's 3 seagulls fighting over one piece of fish, or I put up 3 pieces of fish and 3 seagulls steal my 3 pieces of fish, maybe that's a better story. Yeah, Healthy Kitchen. Yeah, we're just talking about AI video, and you're doing recipes, and I was saying that like maybe Google is now doing its VO3 for 26 US a month. Maybe I can ask Google to generate me a video of um, putting um, 8 clean shrimp into a pan, and those shrimp turning pink with a sizzling sound. And maybe it can generate that for me, so I don't have to do my own shrimp. And then it can generate um, slicing an onion and throwing the onion into that pan, and then generate a spatula mixing it up. I don't know. We were postulating that earlier before you joined us, that this might be a way to present a recipe without actually making it. Now, that then asks the question of why am I doing all of this? Partly it's because the cooking is an interesting experience in itself. Or is it that I really want to just have the result of that, which is, one, something to eat, but two, and more important, is a visual presentation of how I made uh, shrimp Alfredo, for instance, and the steps that you might go through to do that. Um, that is that is that invalid to use AI to draw my shrimp, which it drew it from real shrimp somewhere else. I learned what shrimp look like, so it's not totally fake. It's Gemini 2.5. No, I have not looked at any of that. The only AI that I've really spent any time with is ChatGPT and the OpenAI image generator and Adobe's. I will look at that. Um, the thing that I'm talking about is a thing called VO, which is part of a thing called the Google AI Suite, which may or may not be related to Gemini. It's where I'll check that out. Thank you for bringing that up. I'll check that out. It is that I'm not 100% sure that I want to play with AI. But maybe I do. And it changes the nature of what I'm trying to do, which is talk about making food in the simple environment of a boat, or potentially a boat. I mean, it's not necessarily just a boat, but with consideration for boat issues. That I'm not asking AI to give me those, but we're just asking AI to illustrate them. So yeah, it's interesting. It's worth checking out. I know Netflix or Prime. At home we're watching the version that has ads in it because we're too cheap to pay for the other version, and they've been advertising Google Gemini as an interactive chat thing that has had up to now, until you brought it up, Healthy Kitchen, had maybe want to never turn it on any device. I mean, I'm thinking they're talking about how to fix a hole in the wall, and then they did get into cooking because he said you could use Greek yogurt instead of whatever else it was that I guess the person had asked about. So it's worth checking out. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe in this conversation with myself and you, I'm changing my thinking about what this can do. I know with the image generating AI, I've used some of it to create images that Adobe has sold, One of them is a picture of a turkey at Christmas on a platter. And I've taken pictures of real turkeys on platters at Christmas. And I've got an AI picture of a turkey, and I've sold more copies of the AI turkey than the real one, because the AI turkey is more elegantly decorated. There's a nice row of fruit and vegetables around the bottom of it, and it's it sells the message of a perfect Christmas dinner more than my real turkey that isn't so perfect. Yeah, it's worth checking out. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm almost talking myself into it. We'll see in the next week what what comes up. Yeah, I don't know how you'd find it. You'd have to search Google stock AI generated turkey. You might find mine, but there's a bunch of them because a lot of people are playing with AI because it's easy to do. If you wanted to picture a real turkey, you'd have to buy a turkey, cook a turkey, decorate a turkey, and that's a lot of work if your end result is a picture of a turkey. If your end result is something to eat, yeah, you've got to do all those things anyway. Although I suppose you could always just buy a turkey or a cooked chicken at Costco, and you've got turkey, you've got a cooked chicken. So, but yeah, it's AI. So that's interesting that you brought that up. I hadn't totally thought of that. It's worth considering. So I've looked at your stuff, Healthy Kitchen. It's there's some neat stuff there. You can do some interesting stuff. Part of the question becomes, why are people watching cooking? It's entertaining, I think, to some extent. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. Can I get that in writing? Yeah, I just got it in writing. The cooking is entertaining because if you cook yourself, then you say, oh, yeah, okay, I can relate to what they're doing. Now, I've watched like the competitive chef cooking and stuff like that, and decided that there's really no point in that. Although I did come across something Gordon Ramsay did, and I was fascinated by it. I've looked at the Meghan Markle stuff on the internet, not on a big screen TV. And what I found was some of my cooking episodes are seen, more people are watching it on a television than watching it on a phone or on a computer. And other items are more mobile devices seem to be there more than anything else. I watch everything on a computer. Healthy Kitchen. Apparently, according to the internet and the outside world, there is a question whether Meghan does know how to cook, but she did put on a cooking show on Netflix, and the internet generally thought so little of it that they thought it was going to get canceled, and apparently it's back. I don't know how I stumbled across her. I watched a video of her doing a one-pot spaghetti where the onions are fried in the pan, and then the shrimp are thrown in, and then the water is put in, and then the spaghetti is put in, and spinach and basil leaves and a few other things, and it's all cooked in the same pan, and then some of the water is drained out and some cream is added. So the whole process of making a nice pasta sauce with shrimps and vegetables, all in one pan. Now, I think I came across it because the internet was saying wasn't she didn't invent it, Martha Stewart invented it, and then the rest of the internet was saying, well, Martha Stewart didn't invent it, she ripped it off from some other chef. So I feel not at all guilty in creating my own version of Meghan Markle's spaghetti, one pan spaghetti. And I think I put her name in the description. I don't want to get sued, but that's a cooking show, and I think some of what I'm doing might be considered a cooking show. I haven't figured out how to stretch it out for 22 minutes, which because typical TV shows are 22 minutes when we're still sort of focused on the structured television schedule. If you're watching it on Netflix, then there is no structured schedule because it starts when you want to start and it ends when you lose interest or it ends. Whereas television, things have to start at 3 p.m., not 3:05 and not 2:55. So, and they have to fill the half hour with room for advertising at the beginning, middle, and end. So it's I'm trying to figure out where this fits into the scheme of things. I'll admit here, and never to be admitted again, is I've never gone to cooking school. I was a baker in a commercial bakery and in a retail store bakery and in a corner store bakery, and we cooked all kinds of stuff. So that's what I really know about cooking. And I did photography for Uber Eats, and took pictures of 10,000 dishes at 1,000 restaurants over a period of a couple of years. And that made me interested in the presentation of food. And then to some extent the process. And at one point, Uber wanted to include the cooking process, but most restaurant kitchens are gross. And if you photographed that, then you've lost the beauty of the finished item, because you've watched the things that go on in some restaurant kitchens, and some things that go on in restaurant kitchens would make you wonder. So you've lost some of that, and then Uber, when we got into food influencers in the last couple of years, also wanted to move into using that kind of influencer presentation. And I shot a bunch of video for them, and learned a little bit about what they wanted the results to look like. And they have a ton of food stylists and consultants that have developed some of their standards on how things should be presented to their customers. How the restaurant does it is sort of up to the restaurant. But in terms of the projects I worked on, I mean, I would take Uber's standards to the restaurant and say, okay, this is what they feel will make more people click on your food, because the restaurant only cares about a click, right? If you don't click, then they don't get an order. If they don't click, Uber doesn't get its commission. So it's an interesting sort of ecosystem between restaurants and Uber in how to make people click. And then when you get Uber and DoorDash, and Grubhub competing for the same customer and sort of for the same restaurant. Each of them has developed their own standards of what they think is going to make people want to click on their app more than on the other app, and it's the same butter chicken that the restaurant is making in all cases. So it's it was an interesting experience. I'm just going to walk away from the camera for a second. I got to check something at the back of the boat. I shall return. Okay, we're back. Now turn on the light, it's too bright. Let's turn on that light instead. This one's gonna kill me. So where were we? AI. Cezanne, hey, welcome aboard. Long time no see. Well, not a long time, but nevertheless, nice to see you. Talk about AI. No, I had just gone to check something at the back of the boat. It's getting cold, and I was considering whether I should close the hatch, but then I just left it alone. So, yeah, it's yeah. Appreciate you dropping by. Appreciate everybody. It's we'll keep it going for another 10 minutes. Then we'll have had enough of me talking about things. Trying to remember, Suzanne, what I last saw on your channel. It's all a blur. It's all a blur. The okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I can hear some Canada geese or ducks outside. Still looking for a midnight snack. We were supposed to get northern lights here yesterday, and we had a little bit too much cloud cover, so we didn't. In the end, didn't get anything. But I've never seen northern lights, and I really would like to. We're supposed to get them a month ago as well, and that didn't materialize. Probably for the same reason that we had bad weather. But all the pictures I see of northern lights are so pretty, right? With the multiple colors and the sky effects. Now, where we are at home, there's street lights around the house, so you have to figure out how to not get the street lights in your eyes too much. But we missed that, so we'll have to wait for the next event that's going to come up that will give us an opportunity to see that. And then, of course, you don't want to just see it. You want to take pictures of it or video of it and use it in something, so it becomes more than just going out and looking. What will I be cooking next? Well, there's three things in the pipeline. The first is steak and pasta, but most people present steak and pasta. Yeah, there's this. I don't know if there's not seagulls or Canada geese we're flying by. Most people present steak and pasta as fry the steak and then put the pasta around it. My strategy is going to be the steak is going to be cut up into bite-sized pieces and become part of the sauce to be poured over the pasta. And it can't. At one point my thinking was I would use that Meghan Markle one pot pasta approach of fry things and then add the water and vegetables and the pasta. But steak loses its flavor in my mind from being cooked in water for the 10 minutes that it takes the pasta to cook. So I'm not sure that that's the right thing. Shrimp in water, to me, that's perfect. Chicken in water, haven't tried that yet. But shrimp in water, chicken in water probably works. But steak in water, to me, will not work. So it'll have to be you fry bite-sized bits of steak, fried with whatever spices, and then build a sauce around that. So it'll have the cream and the onions and the garlic and then the pasta will have been prepared in advance. So this is what the one pot kind of thing. So that's on the agenda right now, and I actually picked up the ingredients. I was going to do it today, and then I ended up spending too long on something else. Soon on the agenda, I bought a toaster oven style air fryer for the boat. So it's a small one. It fits in a corner. and I've been looking at other people's air fryer recipes and look for some of the adapts. So it'll be something air fryer chicken, but I think from the boat perspective, it's going to be more snack food. So um, the pita pizza uh, kind of thing um, that is more toaster oven than air fryer um, approach. And then the other thing I was babbling about for a while was I bought a barbecue for this boat. Hey Jody, long time no see, a whole day. Um, Although I did see you on Backyard Trucker. I was talking about watching him driving down the highway. For Christmas, I bought myself a barbecue for the back of the boat. So there's a brand of barbecues that are designed for boat environments, both in terms of how they are mounted. So they're mounted on a rail at the back, and they're powered by small disposable propane canisters. And this brings us back to the seagull stealing the fish off the so I want to do a series of cooking ideas, and they don't have to be terribly unique. Um, I mean, hot dogs on a grill. It's not unique, but if you're looking for inspiration, because you're going to have a bunch of people on the boat, then even hot dogs with some twists, so that it's not your run of the mill hot dog. Um, so that'll be a series of things, and the air fryer thing. The whole air fryer on the boat came about, and I've told this to some people, is I bumped into a lady here at the marina last year, um, and we're chatting about um sailing. We both came back into the marina at the same time, and I said, well, I've got to go and find something to eat. And she said, oh, I'm just going to turn on the air fryer and make chicken for her crew. And that made me think that if your boat is in a marina where you have power, and it's not going to work um, if you're anchored without electricity, um, whereas a gas stove or a propane stove or a propane barbecue provides you with cooking fuel there. But if you're in a marina with power, and in this area, most people are. And when I think about like the famous marinas that in my mind are wonderful places like Marina del Rey in California, or Fort Lauderdale, the marinas along the Intercoastal in Fort Lauderdale. Um, Everybody's just tied up at a dock, and everybody has power. So I'm thinking of ideas that present themselves well for a boat. Now, again, if you don't have refrigeration, your options are more limited. If you have a small fridge, as I have, your options are limited because you can't keep that much in it, but you can keep several days worth of provisions, and it's I'm thinking that that's sort of a strategy there for a while, but the next thing we're cooking is steak pasta, partly because I want to eat it, and some of the things I make after I've cooked them, I lose interest in them relatively quickly. Some of them I'm amazed at how good they turn out. And the problem with that is you end up eating too much. I remember once, again, this is years ago, I worked in a hamburger joint, um, and I did the fries and the burgers, and the owners, it was a chain in Canada, and the owners were so impressed with me, I can't imagine why, but still, that they wanted me we went to head office, and they wanted me to take on a head office job, helping run the chain. And I I was relatively thin in those days, because those were the days. And I came up to the boardroom in a downtown office building, and there's four guys that interviewed me, and each of them were huge because they enjoyed their food too much, and burgers and fries is not the kind of thing that the Healthy Kitchen would make. Um, at least not burgers and fries the way they were made in this restaurant. So that turned me off a little bit. And my feeling is that if you're going to work in a place but you're revolted by the thing that you're doing, is then don't do it. There are other things to do. So I turned down that golden opportunity to work in the head office of a fast food burger chain. Never know what it might have turned out if I'd done that, but that was then, and this is now. I'm going to bail out in the next few minutes. It's getting chilly. I don't want to turn on the heater. It's summer. I don't want to sort of admit to being cold in the middle of summer. Thanks, Healthy Kitchen. I appreciate that. It's you make choices as to what you wanted to do. What did I do instead then? So instead I ended up working for a company that makes packaging, glass jars. And I remember in their sort of inventory control and financial management department. And I remember talking to a girl there, and when I say girl, because we were just young. I don't think anybody was over 20 at that time. That was in marketing, and she had moved from quite a distance away to work at this place. And I asked her why she what she'd done before and why she was there. And I still remember what she said. She said, "Well, I was in marketing in this other place, but all I was doing is trying to figure out how to sell lip lard, and I didn't want to have my life defined by lip lard, which is lipstick, right?" And so she figured that marketing packaging was a more respectable thing to do. In the end, it's got to pay the rent, right? So I'm going to thank everybody for coming by. I really do appreciate it. Thank some people for hanging around for a while. In the end, some of the reasons for doing this is to build up enough watch hours to make YouTube love us enough to want to pay us. And I promise I'll drop by everybody's live or everybody's channel and spend some time there. And we'll see next week, Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday, depending again on the weather. We'll do this all over again and maybe talk about the same things or talk about whatever new has come up. So I appreciate that. Thank you all very much. Let me just take a screenshot of where we have here, so we know what we've done. Save that. Let's go here and save this. So we know what we've done there. And then press this little X. And are you sure? I'm sure.